12 of the world's most shocking and mysterious discoveries that caused an uproar. Welcome to the mystical universe. Dear friend, in movies, archaeologists are often portrayed as extraordinary and exceptional individuals, daring to stake both life and limb in the pursuit of knowledge. Meanwhile, mystical artifacts and ancient traps lurked at every turn, threatening their every step. And if not, they must also open ancient tombs long sealed or traverse caves filled with an eerie aura. But in reality, we all know perfectly well that nothing like that ever happens. Because in reality, archaeologists have made incredibly fascinating and gentle discoveries. Their journey of discovery unveiled countless mysteries. Join Mysterious Universe as we explore these mysteries in today's video. Sanctuary of the MEIA People. The Tagaw has played a vital role in the spiritual life of the MEIA people since ancient times. According to ancient MEIA texts, droughts occur when the water deity becomes angered. Accordingly, to appease the deity, they were forced to throw a 14-year-old virgin girl into the well. The ancients believed that if a girl was thrown down a well, she would become a handmaid to the water deity. To savor delicious dishes, wear beautiful outfits, and enjoy a leisurely, carefree life. However, although the climate throughout the year was quite stable, with no droughts or natural disasters occurring, the monastic community in MEIA also selected a beautiful maiden to offer to the water deity as a sacrificial gift of gratitude. People from all over flocked to gather at the sacred shrine beside the magic well. This temple is 60 meters long and 30 meters high. Inside, an image of the water deity, a winged serpent, is carved. The chosen girl, adorned in a resplendent outfit, sat waiting inside the temple. Standing beside the girl were brawny young men, clad in sets of gleaming golden armor, ready to safely escort the rain god's bride back to the holy temple. The ceremony will begin at dawn. The sea god's bride is placed in a flower palanquin, blessed, and receives invocations from the shamans. The poor girl was bathed in a miraculous liquid that soothed her nerves and helped her remain calm. The procession will escort the bride along a 400-meter-long path all the way to the Holy See. The moment she arrived, the young woman was immediately tossed high into the air by the burly guards and then dropped in free fall onto the Holy Diang. At that moment, the drum sounded, and the group of mediums began to dance and chant. The wealthy often throw gold, silver, and jewels into the well with the wish of praying for peace. However, since the mid-16th century, European colonial powers began to invade and dominate South America. From that point onward, Mayan cities such as Chichen Itza, Uxmal, Sayal, and Gibilchaltén. No one holds ceremonies for the living at the holy ground anymore. Through their research, archaeologists have discovered more than 100 sets of human remains at the bottom of the holy well. Many jewels and artifacts from ancient times. Most of us tend to believe that the Amazon rainforest conceals countless dangers. No civilization has ever existed in this place. But in 1976, a satellite photo taken by NASA revealed that deep within this forest lies a mysterious and desolate cluster of pyramids. Some researchers believe that the Parathari pyramids were formed naturally. However, some other researchers believe that this pyramid was built by an ancient civilization that once existed. And in fact, the expedition into the Amazon rainforest proved just that. Fu discovered numerous traces and evidence of the Inca presence in this location. For example, there is the art of stone carving, stone-paved roads, and stone-built foundations. Previously, in 2010, an archaeological team conducted an excavation on a hill in the Amazon. I quickly realized this wasn't a hill, but rather a massive pyramid. It was built by a forgotten civilization in the Amazon rainforest, dating back over 3,000 years. This place also features many large buildings for leaders, rows of long houses clustered closely together, and a nearly 2-meter-high defensive wall for protection purposes. Approximately 1.5 kilometers away, a second pyramid was also discovered, containing the remains of 22 children inside. The researchers believe that these children were most likely used in sacrificial rituals, which were a distinctive practice of the Inca culture. And that very ritual led their civilization to its downfall. However, no one can provide a definitive answer, which is why the question about this civilization and its mysterious structures remains unresolved to this day. Sak Yuup Doi. Recently, in the ancient city of Tarposar at Makanur, located in Egypt's Nile Delta, archaeologists have unearthed two special mummies. They have been identified as a male and female pair and are dated to be up to 2,000 years old. They were carefully embalmed and covered with gold leaves. This is an extremely lavish form of burial, demonstrating that these two individuals were of exceptionally noble status. Unfortunately, the structure of the tomb containing the mysteriously mummified newlyweds was not very discreet. Therefore, both have been waterlogged many times over the course of 2,000 years and no longer remain in their original condition as intended by those who buried them. Image and other clear evidence confirming the tomb. I am the yellow leaf resting in one of the two embalming urns, still bearing the image of the tyrant. This is the symbol of rebirth. From that observation, experts believe it is highly likely that these two individuals were priests. A high-ranking religious official in ancient Egypt was considered the connection to the world of the gods. This is the egg of an elephant bird, which was mistaken for a plastic model and lay forgotten in the storage of the Buffalo Museum, USA, for several decades. Finally, it was the manager of the museum's zoological collection who discovered it. After examination, researchers stated that it was actually the fossil of an extinct elephant bird species. This species is also known as the Edufanbird elephant bird, bearing a strong resemblance to an ostrich but significantly larger in size. An adult ostrich can reach a height of over 3 meters and weigh between 350 to 500 kilograms. Scientific documents indicate that this species became extinct around the 11th to 13th centuries AD. However, a French governor in Madagascar argued that, sometime around the 1640s to 1650s, I once encountered one in a completely uninhabited area. This particular ostrich egg was found to be exceptionally large, weighing nearly 1.4 kilograms, standing over 30 centimeters tall, and with a circumference of up to 71 centimeters. The museum's collection states that they acquired this item at a very good price, for only $20 in 1939. From a tax official in London, who had previously purchased it from Madagascar. What is noteworthy is that according to scientists' estimates, worldwide, there are currently fewer than 40 fossilized elephant bird eggs preserved in museums and private collections. Moreover, in 2013, an elephant bird egg was sold for £66,675, equivalent to over 2.1 billion Vietnamese dong. The Great Sword. In the spring of 1988, the Xi River in Yanzhou County, Shandong Province, China, completely dried up. The residents of Daiqiu village who live nearby gathered along the riverbank to harvest, cut, and transport firewood back home. While diving more than a meter deep in the riverbed, a man from the village suddenly discovered a strangely shaped mass of iron. He called on everyone to come and dig, but then realized it wasn't a lump of iron. It was an extremely long sword, with a blade measuring over 7 meters, lying still in the underground chamber. Immediately, the villagers called local cultural experts to report the appearance of the giant sword. This 7.5-meter-long giant sword weighs up to 1,539.8 kilograms. Although the blade has been repaired, the distinct shape of an AZ can still be clearly recognized. That means the Chinese cultural chimera of a lion-headed dragon has been carved above. Made in the 56th year of the Kangxi reign. However, many people wonder how such an enormous sword could possibly be lifted and wielded. So perhaps it wasn't designed to block bullets from a distance, so what on earth was it created for? After studying historical documents from the same period, experts have finally determined why this giant sword appeared. It turns out that the giant sword carved from spirit glass in the garage was meant to suppress the water element of this land. Specifically, it is the headwater of the Tu River, which is a tributary of the Nam Tu River system. A major river system in the Shandong Province region, as it flows through many mountainous areas, has a very strong current. Due to the steep terrain, devastating floods rushed down to the lower region. Duong Tu County Annals. The lower Tu River frequently floods, to the extent that even the foot of the bridge crossing it is intermittently severed by floodwaters. At that time, Kim Nyat Fung, the district chief of Din Chao, was the one who had this bridge repaired. Moreover, he even used his own personal funds to cast the giant sword. We offer this sacred animal to the guardian spirit of the stables, with the hope of bringing peace and prosperity to this land. V. Kai Huyen believed that the giant clam was a child of the river, a symbol of authority, and that it would help mitigate natural disasters and protect the people living along its banks. Finally, the massive 7.5-meter-long sword was lowered, majestically planted vertically into the riverbed. But alas, shortly thereafter, the sword was swept away by the current and lay buried at the bottom of the river for hundreds of years. After learning about the origins of the giant sword, many residents of Dai Kiu village proactively contacted experts. They demanded that the sword be buried immediately at the riverbed, fearing that without this talisman to suppress the waters, floods would once again run rampant. Archaeologists working at an ancient cemetery in Egypt have opened 2 ancient tombs, revealing more than just mummies inside, but also 9 monstrous skulls with gaping mouths. These creatures have been identified as ancient crocodiles, not mummies, and was only wrapped in cloth and arranged around the deceased as a special ritual. Initial findings suggest that one of the 2 tombs may have belonged to a man named Cheti. A high-ranking official during the reign of Pharaoh Nehepeta Mentruhot Tepi was put on trial solely for misconduct committed between 2005 and 2022 AD. However, the identity of the second mummy remains an enigma to this day. The crocodiles buried in this 4,000-year-old tomb were likely not merely ordinary crocodiles. In Greek mythology, the Nile crocodile or Tephi crocodile is considered the embodiment of the god Sobek. Sobek would sometimes appear in his true form as a crocodile, and other times take the form of a man with the head of a crocodile. Associated with the power of the pharaohs, fertility, and military might. He is also worshipped as a guardian deity, believed to protect people from all dangers caused by snakes and venomous creatures. And this very thing explains the presence of the mysterious skulls in that ancient tomb. An ancient church with a history of up to 700 years. According to German legend, Runghaus was once a vast and immensely prosperous town, located on the coast of this land in ancient times. Of course, from a scientific perspective, it is believed that the town was completely obliterated in a terrible natural disaster. In January 1362, a storm surge hit the coastline, submerging the entire town under seawater. The legendary town once again appeared before the research team during their survey expedition. Researchers from the Bantic and Scandinavia archaeological centers have identified the location of the Nguyen Na building. Right on the coast, where the town of Runghao was believed to have once existed, geoscientific and archaeological methods were combined to verify this. For example, measuring magnetic fields, electrical surveys, and seismic surveys. This building has been identified as an ancient church, situated on a 40 meters by 5 meters foundation, located within the 2 kilometers long ruins of an ancient settlement. According to Dr. Ruth Bantkenfeld, the special aspect of this discovery is precisely the importance of the church. As the center of an architectural complex, its scale should be considered that of a significant parish during that period. Particularly, the surveys were expanded to cover a larger area, spanning over 10 square kilometers. The findings also revealed 54 structures within the settlements, a systematically built drainage system, a sea dike, a harbor, and 2 small shrines. Archaeologists stated that subsequent excavations need to be conducted urgently because the remnants of this settlement are relatively fragile and vulnerable. It may continue to be damaged due to the impact of natural disasters. In 2011, during the road expansion of a highway in Taizhou City, Jiangsu Province, China, a group of farmers accidentally dug up an ancient coffin at a depth of about 2 meters. They immediately stopped, and no one disturbed the scene. They contacted the experts at the Taichung Museum to request their assistance. Upon initial discovery, the archaeological survey team identified it as an ancient coffin. However, when they opened the lid, what was inside astonished them even more. Accordingly, the body was wrapped in multiple layers of cloth and fine silk, and the coffin was surrounded by a layer of brown liquid. After removing the layers of silk fabric, the archaeological team was astonished to discover an extremely well-preserved female body. What was even more surprising was that the embalmed skin remained almost intact, along with the jewelry adorning the body. Notably, the deceased's eyebrows and eyelashes remained completely intact. According to estimates, the mummy is approximately 1.5 meters tall. To facilitate research, experts have decided to name this type of embalming pigment Tai Chow. Some local newspapers at the time even likened the fermented pork roll's color to that of a Chinese beauty. Based on the artifacts, jewelry, and silk garments that were discovered, archaeologists believe this woman lived during the Ming Dynasty, a period spanning from 1368 to 1644. This means that this batch of marinade is approximately 700 years old. Among the pieces of jewelry that women love, the most prominent item is the green ring. The attire suggests the deceased belonged to the noble class of that era. The fact that the body was found completely intact provided valuable insights into human life during that era. The social hierarchy system during the Ming Dynasty. Inside the coffin, many precious artifacts are preserved, including remains, pottery, ancient scripts, and several other relics. From that point onward, archaeologists have been unable to determine the composition of the mysterious brown liquid inside, which was used to preserve the body. Simply put, groundwater from outside gradually seeps through the coffin's cracks into the interior. More than a decade has passed, yet Chinese archaeologists continue their relentless research, exploring Tai Chow embalming techniques, yet many aspects remain unclear. Since its discovery, this mummy has sparked significant interest in how the body could remain so perfectly preserved from the Ming Dynasty all the way to the present day. Mr. Kwang Weixin, director of the Taizhou Museum, stated that the mummification techniques of that era were related to the later lacquering process and required a very high level of technical skill. During the Ming Dynasty, color dyes were typically carefully wrapped in silk cloth with an additional layer of cotton padding inside. Some researchers suggest that mummies could be naturally preserved if buried in a suitable environment, specifically when the temperature and oxygen concentration in the water are at moderate levels. Since bacteria cannot grow, the decomposition process slows down, or even temporarily halts completely. After a long period, experts continue to raise questions about the conditions that led to the body's intact preservation. Regardless of that woman's identity or social status, or whatever reasons led to her tragic death. Unfortunately, the embalming site was found in a remote location with no additional remains, which has greatly complicated the search for answers. And to this day, the royal decree is still preserved and maintained at the Tai Chow Museum. Reportedly, the museum officially opened in May 1979, after the first mummy dating back to the Ming Dynasty was discovered. After decades, Chinese archaeologists have finally found a method to completely preserve the color of mummies after excavation. The 6,000-year-old ancient tomb of a mysterious woman of authority. During the construction of the connecting route between the highway and a city, Romanian archaeologists have discovered an ancient tomb from the Sa-Wa culture, paving the way for the exploration of a vast cluster of relics. The enigmatic ancient tomb has been identified as belonging to the Tissa culture, dating back to approximately 4,500–4,000 BC. This is a Paleolithic culture, widely distributed across a vast territory that today comprises many countries in Eastern and Central Europe. The tomb contained the remains of a woman, who was buried with 169 gold rings used to adorn her hair. Along with that was a multi-tiered bronze bracelet, 2 gold beads, and approximately 800 beads made from bone. These beads were most likely taken from items such as necklaces or bracelets. But the connection between them had been severed. Based on preliminary analysis of the deceased's teeth and stature, it is believed that this was a woman of high social standing, possibly a queen or a king's consort. Particularly, during the project's expanded excavation phase, the research team also uncovered the vestiges of 2 houses. Near the town of Tentondir, there exists a settlement that thrived from the 2nd century BC until the 2nd century AD. They also discovered a Samuelson settlement dating from the 3rd to the 4th century, located near Bhartia. This further confirms the high status of the woman discovered in the ancient tomb above. Archaeologists have uncovered a shocking discovery. A mysterious group of people explored the Americas 30,000 years ago. and the occupation of North America was not feasible during the glacial maximum. According to Chinu, astonishing evidence has been unearthed at Coke Cave, Catalan, in the southern part of the Tehuantepec Valley, Mexico. A dry rock ledge rises a few meters above the valley floor, measuring 30 meters in length and up to 8 meters in width. Within the sedimentary layers of the cave, traces of ancient humans were discovered. People who hunted game, crafted stone tools, and knew how to build shelters and light fires. At the bottom of the pit, within the sedimentary layers, many animal bone fragments were found with marks indicating they had been butchered by humans for meat. Indicates that its age ranges from